The Watership Down Podcast is intended for listeners who are familiar with the plot. There will be spoilers. This episode is scripted, narrated, recorded and edited by Newell Fisher. Hello, and welcome to the Watership Down Podcast episode 213, in which we'll be going through chapter 4 of the graphic novel, The Departure. I have a cold developing, so I hope my voice holds out, and outside it has started snowing. It seems winter has arrived. The last episode was a bit rushed, both in scripting and recording, as I had a lot going on that week. As a result, I feel the need to clarify two things. At one point, I seemed to say that Blackberry said there were a few opportunities at Sandalford. In fact, what my script said were few opportunities. Also, in the comparison section, I said that Bigwig describes they leaving the Warren in the novel as opposed to the we of the graphic novel. He actually says you'll be leaving in the novel. Due to the ambiguity of the second person you in English, it is unclear if he is referring to one rabbit, Fiver, or both Fiver and Hazel, or even a larger group. Next, I've come across an attempt to make a children's picture book of Watership Down that I found interesting, though I'm not sure it succeeds, as it uses the plot of the Netflix miniseries and summarises that plot a bit too much. If you're interested, it is called the Watership Down Gift Picture Storybook and is written by Frank Cottrell Boyce with illustrations by Sophia O'Connor, as well as plenty of frames from the miniseries itself. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's all depart from Sandalford. The graphic novel, Chapter 4, The Departure. Chapter 4 of the graphic novel has 5 pages and covers Chapter 4 of the original novel, which takes up 10 pages, providing another 5 pages of compression of the original story. It has the same title as that chapter. We see that the full moon has risen. It is Fu Inlay. A small rabbit, slightly darker brown than Hazel and Fiver, looks out of a hole and asks if anyone else is coming. It is Pipkin. Hazel says they're not at the meeting place yet. They make their way through long grass as Pipkin asks questions about what is going to happen. He is very nervous. We see a bramble-lined ditch, then the first 3 arriving there. This is the meeting place for those intending to leave. Pipkin is still asking questions, and Hazel reassures him others will arrive soon. They wait. Blackberry arrives. With him is Dandelion, who we see for the first time. He is lighter coloured and has spots on his sides. Behind them are Acorn, visually portrayed for the first time in Watership Down, and Hawkbit. Hazel recognises Dandelion as the best storyteller in the Warren. Dandelion also says hello, whereas Acorn and Hawkbit say nothing. Blackberry warns that he saw Toadflax, an Owsler member who seemed suspicious. Hazel says he's surprised that Toadflax didn't just knock them over, as the Owsler are such bullies. But, Pipkin points out, Bigwig is, or at least was, Owsler. What's to stop him acting the same way? Hazel responds that any rabbit who stays is in danger, so they will welcome any who want to join. In any case, they will need fighters. But he is determined that the smaller rabbits won't get mistreated. Right on cue, Pipkin sees Bigwig approaching. With him are Buckthorn and Silver, so that's 3 Owsler rabbits joining them. Bigwig comments that there aren't many of them. Here, Buckthorn is portrayed visually in a version of Watership Down for the first time. He is grey in colour and has a neutral-looking face. Silver, on the other hand, has stripes of grey on his head. He also has light spots on his sides, we see later. His ears are also down, and he has the same angry expression as Bigwig. Pipkin comments that Silver is the Thrayerar's nephew. Bigwig's response indicates that Silver has had a hard time of it, and that Pipkin is doing the same. His saying this is actually quite encouraging, as he is indicating that the smallest rabbit is also capable of dishing out a hard time. He is just pointing out that Silver didn't get his place in the Owsler because of his uncle, when a shouted voice interrupts him, saying, "Don't move." Captain Holly arrives with 2 other Owsler, one of whom might be Bluebell, as in the novel, but there isn't any indication of this that I have found. Holly says that Bigwig, Silver and Buckthorn are under arrest. As in the original, it is only Owsler members he is interested in, which may indicate that Bigwig was not thrown out of the Owsler in this version, but just tried to resign. Bigwig asks what they are being arrested for. They haven't done anything. Holly replies that they've been spreading dissent and inciting mutiny. He adds that Bigwig and Silver absconded and is about to add more when Bigwig attacks him without warning. One of the Owsla guards expresses outrage at this and is promptly attacked by Silver and Buckthorn. We know it is them because a voice I would assume is Hazel's shouts at them, meaning them to stop and draw back. We are presented with a tableau in which 8 of the 10 rabbits can be seen presenting a united front against the 3 Owsla, as Hazel tells them they are outnumbered and that they should go. Holly reminds Hazel that he is captain of Owsla, asking him if he knows what this means. Hazel responds that they should go or they will be killed. As he scrambles out of the ditch, Holly looks back and says it is they who will be killed. We see 9 of the 10 rabbits, as Fiver says they should go at once. Hazel agrees that the time has come. Comparison with the book. Stand by for a high degree of pedantic detail. You were probably expecting it anyway. In the original novel, the opening conversation with Pipkin is not mentioned. After an initial description of how rabbits gather in the absence of human timekeeping, the first 3, Hazel, Fiver and Pipkin, arrive at the meeting place. The same first 3 as in the graphic novel. Hawkbit is forced to arrive on his own in the novel, rather than 6 to be mentioned in the second group in the graphic novel, and Hazel recalls him being a bit slow and stupid. In the graphic novel, we do not learn of Hazel's view of him. Then Dandelion appears 5th on his own, rather than being 7th to be mentioned by Blackberry in the second group in the graphic novel. It is Dandelion who warns about toadflax in the novel, rather than Blackberry. And this does not result in Pipkin commenting to Hazel about the risk of them having an Owsla rabbit like Bigwig in the group. Instead, Hazel has this thought himself earlier, and he keeps it to himself. After a while in the novel, Hazel sees Blackberry approach, rising 6th rather than 4th, and he is with a somewhat different group, consisting of Buckthorn arriving 7th rather than 9th with Bigwig, as he does in the graphic novel. Also with him is Speedwell arriving 8th. And of course, Speedwell is the only rabbit of the original 11 who very sadly does not appear in the graphic novel. Also with Blackberry in the novel is Acorn arriving 9th with Blackberry rather than 5th with Blackberry. The next to arrive in the novel are Bigwig, the 10th arrival rather than the 8th. With him is Silver, the 11th and last rather than the 10th and last. So, to sum up, the similarities and differences in the arrivals between novel and graphic novel are that the rabbits arrive in 3 groups in the graphic novel, whereas in the original they arrive as 2 groups, a pair and 2 individuals. The first arrivals are Hazel, Fiver and Pipkin in both versions. In the novel, Hawkbit then arrives on his own, whereas in the graphic novel, Blackberry, Acorn, Hawkbit and Dandelion all arrive as a group. Next, in the novel, Dandelion arrives on his own, whereas in the graphic novel, Bigwig, Buckthorn and Silver arrive as a group, which is then the complete 10 rabbits of that version. Next to arrive in the novel are Blackberry, Buckthorn, Speedwell and Acorn as a group. And lastly, the complete 11 rabbits of the novel are made up by the arrival of Bigwig with Silver. I hope all that was clear. The lists of arrivals will be included in this week's notes if it wasn't. Pipkin has a lot less to say for himself at first in the novel, and again, Hazel's thoughts inform us of Silver's relation to the Freya, as well as his determination that the smaller rabbits will not get mistreated by the larger ones. Bigwig points out how few of them there are, but also asks if it is worth going ahead. Silver is about to speak when Holly's arrival interrupts. Holly gets to go into more detail about the charges against them in the novel. It is only Bigwig and Silver who are under arrest. In the book, Buckthorn is not yet in the Owsla, but is likely to be accepted. Once Bigwig attacks Holly, Buckthorn and Dandelion help him fight off the 3 Owsla. Silver is not involved, having been replaced by Dandelion, who isn't even in the Owsla. The fight described in the novel seems more violent than the fight we see in the graphic novel, and Hazel does not call them off. Dandelion is slightly injured, and he and Bigwig add to Fiver's voice in saying they need to go. Now. Next time, the rabbits enter a wood and hear a tale.